What's up, y'all? Welcome back.
Hey.
Hey, Fitness Live every Sunday, 06 Eastern. Excuse me. Today I'm talking about the mistakes most people make to stop them from achieving muscle hypertrophy. First updates. I don't have any. I'm pretty lost, to be honest with you. My goal got blowed up, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of figuring things out right now. That's where I'm at.
Hey, that's real though, right? That's life. It happens. I'm sure you'll be right back at it soon though. I'm 16 weeks out from my first show, 18 from my second. So I'm cruising strong. Prep just
First show, babe.
Well, from the first one I'm doing of the season, not my first show. So still going pretty strong. We just started really, so I don't expect to be in the suck for a few more weeks, but definitely pulled back some of the food this week and added an extra day of cardio. So we will see what happens.
Yep. All right. So mistakes most people make. Number one, I can tell you from experience, and even I fell into this when I first started. Number one, first and foremost reason, consistency. What do you think, Camille?
I want to actually back up.
Oh.
Do most people even know the definition of hypertrophy? I'm not sure, but just so we're level set, it's anytime you have the goal of increasing muscle size, specifically the skeletal muscle, and it's as a result of applying tension to those fibers while doing resistance training. So that is the definition that we're talking about when we say that.
Good point. Let me break it down. Gains. Hypertrophy is gains.
Muscle gains.
It's when your muscles get bigger. That's muscle hypertrophy. Good point.
Absolutely. But James is right. Number one is going to be consistency. If you're going strong, implying that intensity, whatever, and then a month later, you're just like, oh, I'm done.
Gone.
You're starting all over. So
if you watched last week, I told you about Josh Cherry and I working out in the summers. Well, guess what happened when school started? Or excuse me, football practice started 2 weeks or 3 weeks before school. Weights were gone. No longer working out. Going to football practice, that's it.
Absolutely. And a lot of people will do that. Like maybe they're lifting real strong all winter and they're like, woohoo, summer, I'm going to the beach, I'm hanging out, I'm chilling with my friends. What happens? No gains.
It happens. I mean, it's easy to fall off. It really is. I trained a guy for a wedding. He was literally 400 pounds. I got him under 200 pounds for his wedding. He got married and never came back to the gym.
Absolutely.
I hope he kept the weight off, but I don't know.
But yeah, we say consistency. So we have a lot of athletes, especially for my female athletes, you know, one of the common things that they always need to work on is bringing up the size of the legs, specifically the glutes. And unfortunately, there's no way around this. It takes 2 to 3 years to build a set of glutes. And so if you're not consistently applying that resistance and that tension and going to the extreme, you're starting over. So instead of it taking 2 years to build those glutes up, you're just never going to achieve that level of development. So
yes. And if you don't use it, you lose it.
Absolutely.
And you lose it way faster than you build it. That's the
so
shame.
Sad. It's the same with like gaining body fat.
Yeah. I mean, trust me, if you stop, you lose your muscle way faster than when you build it. It's a shame, actually.
Absolutely.
Okay, so consistency is one. Number two, in my opinion, people don't get their intensity level where it needs to be. I've trained many people. I've trained trainers.
Right.
They think they're going hard and they stop nowhere near failure. I'm like, what are you doing? Well, I did my 10 reps. I don't care. You're nowhere near your failure. You didn't even put effort into those 10 reps. Was that your warm-up set? No. Then why aren't you going intensely? Why aren't you going hard?
Absolutely. I also have clients, they literally think they're hitting that all-out intensity, but they're not. And usually if you have a secondary onlooker looking, they can call you out and see it. I see it all the time on things like leg press. We'll have the bump stop set up to protect them, where if they fail, it's not going to crush them, right? And they will get the sled all the way back up and rack it and be like, I couldn't lift it again. It's like, well, if you couldn't lift it again, it would be resting on that safety stop. Yep. So you already shorted yourself of that intensity that you needed.
Yep. And I've been playing this game forever, and I've been around forever, man. I worked at Gold's Gym. I've seen it. The guys with grotesque levels of intensity. I'm saying grotesque because it is. If you watch them, it is. Those are the ones that are making gains. The guys going in there, lifting the same ways, going through the same motions, aren't doing nothing. They're maintaining,
Right.
but they're not building nothing. Trust. You know, if we get into the science of things, excuse me, you have to activate satellite cells in order to create muscle hypertrophy. And the only way to activate satellite cells is create trauma.
Trauma.
And as far as lifting weights, the only way to create trauma is with grotesque levels of intensity.
Yeah.
Gut busting intensity.
I think a lot of times what holds people back is just fear, especially fear of injury.
Yep.
So that's always kind of daunting in the back of your mind. You're like, no, I'm good. But you just have to trust yourself and that the body has other mechanisms to stop itself before you get to that point of injury. But
there is a fine line.
Yeah.
There is definitely a fine line. You want to go as hard as you physically can, which gets you close to that injury. It does.
Yeah, you got to be smart too, though. Like if you're squatting some heavy weight and all of a sudden you start to feel a little something in your back, you need to set that weight down immediately. Don't finish the rep. Don't, keep pushing through saying it'll be all right. That's when, you kind of cross that threshold.
Be smart.
Absolutely.
Be smart. Have a spotter. Wear your belt.
Right.
Use your straps. Be smart. Be smart. Go hard. Go intense, but be smart.
Right.
And I think that's where most people fail. They think they're going hard, and it burns. It does.
Yeah, it's gonna suck.
It burns a lot before you hit failure. You are burning. It is painful, but you have to push through that. Most people just start the burn and go, okay, no.
Right.
And I can't remember if it was Muhammad Ali or Arnold. One of them said, I don't even start counting to 10 until the burn starts. Then I do 10.
That's intensity right there.
It is. That's what it takes, and those both were at the top of their sport.
All right. Well, since James brought up some science, I want to bring up some science too. You got two different types of muscle fibers. One's type 1. It's more of your endurance one. If you think of like an endurance runner, they're activating those. So there's, an argument to be made if you're kind of doing volume training, light weights, you're probably using some of those endurance fibers. And then there's the second type, type 2. Now, these have the most potential for hypertrophy because they're explosive. That's when you're activating them. So
if you want a good example of the two different muscle types, look at a marathon runner and a sprinter.
Right.
Sprinter's got the fast twitch muscle.
Yeah, they're going to have a nice set of legs on them.
Marathoner's got the slow twitch muscle.
Right.
Oh.
So a lot of times you'll hear us say, like, focus on those heavy compound lifts first. That's because they're explosive. You're using those type 2 fibers, which have the most potential for hypertrophy. So,
yep. And that's a good example as well of intensity.
Right.
The marathoner's going long, but not intense. The sprinter's going short, but extremely intense. And that's exactly what it takes for muscle hypertrophy.
I mean, that's kind of an example would be like doing goblet squats. You could probably goblet squat all day long. I mean, you could probably crank out 100 reps with a weight as heavy as you can go. That's not going to be the same as loading up a barbell on your back and hitting back squats.
Good point. Exercise selection.
Absolutely.
What else stops people from muscle hypertrophy? This one's probably higher, but I'm going to put it at 3. We'll see where you put it. Diet.
I was just going to say that. That's the next thing in my mind.
Diet. You have to feed your body the correct nutrients to make the gains. If you're not, you're cheating yourself. If you're going home and eating hot dogs after your workout, you just wasted your workout, man. Come on. Everybody knows that at this point.
Absolutely.
Bill Phillips, Body for Life, back in the 90s, if you're back then working out, was huge. Body for Life. Everybody read it. The premise of the book was if you work out, you have to eat right to refeed your body, or you're just cheating yourself.
Right.
And that's 100% correct.
I think since we're talking about the nutrition front, one of the things I think happens a lot too, people over prioritize protein intake and not carbohydrate intake. I mean, you have to have the glucose available in the muscle to do the work. So if you're just cutting out all carbs, eating nothing but protein, yeah, that's great. You got protein to build the muscle back, but you don't have the energy to do the intensity of the lift that we're talking about in the first place.
Yep.
So both are important. Don't overemphasize one over the other.
I'm going to quote Menser again. Have your nutrition needs met.
Absolutely.
Eat healthy, and that's it.
Simple.
As long as your nutrition needs are met, you're good. That means protein, carbs, and fat, all three.
Absolutely.
None are cut out. Vitamins, et cetera. As long as your nutritional needs are met,
right,
you are covered. Don't sweat it. Everybody makes a huge deal about the diet, the protein, aminos. If you're covered, you're covered.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to gain weight, add calories. If you want to lose weight, just cut calories.
Right. It's pretty simple.
Keep your nutritional needs met, and then play with the calories.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What else?
I think that's it. I mean, I think the last part is maybe just mental. Like you get caught up in your own head and that holds you back sometimes.
When you're going hard and putting gut busting effort in, it's 100% will.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100% mental. It's not physical at that point.
Right.
Believe me, I didn't bring my workout book, but I wanted to. I'm going to show you. I did bench press 315 for 7.
Right.
315 for 8. Guess what I'm hitting this week? 315 for 9, no matter what.
Right.
I'm getting that 9th rep, no matter what, or I just maintained. I didn't build anything. So I don't want to waste my workout. So I'm going to get that extra rep in and make the gains.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's, I mean, if you're consistent, you can make up for a lot of the other things. You know what I mean? If you're hitting the gym consistently, are you going to kill yourself and lose your gains from one day of eating hot dogs? No, you're not. Especially
if you're a beginner to intermediate. Some of the other aspects that we talked about will be absolutely imperative for an advanced lifter.
Absolutely. I mean, beginner, you can get away with a lot of stuff. At the advanced level, and this is a good point, how many physiques do you see at the top?
Not very many.
The very top. I mean, there's 20, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 20. And then the physiques start going down. That's how elite the top is and how hard these guys train and how good their genetics are. That's just the top of the top. They all have the genetics and they all work extremely intense and they're all consistent and they all eat the right diet, etc., etc. But intensity is what stops people. Consistency and intensities are the big ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime I'm getting ready to do a lift, I shift my focus internal. I think deep about my goals, what I'm there to accomplish, why I want to accomplish it. And then I think about the actual muscle tissue and what joints and mechanisms need to fire in order to hit that. So I'm like deeply focused. Like at that point, if you're talking to me, I'm not even there. I'm somewhere else.
It goes back to tracking your numbers. That's how I call myself out.
Sure.
Before I started tracking my numbers, I go, 315. I did 5. That was tough. All right, I'm good. Start tracking your numbers. You go, I did 5 last week. 5's not good anymore. Right. I got to do 6. So that's how I corrected myself, is by tracking the numbers. Before that, I thought I was going hard. But if you look at the numbers, they don't add up to going hard.
Absolutely. I definitely got caught in the intensity game myself. I would go out there and, do 3 plates per side on leg press, be like, it burns, I'm good. And then one day, I said, let me just see what happens if I toss more on there. And I was like, whoa, this is a whole nother level of intensity. And you know what? My body rose to the occasion. My legs moved that weight. Like, That's insane.
You already said it, but most people think in their mind, they think, I can't do this weight.
Right.
And then you put it on and they do 4 or 5 reps and you're going, told you, dude. Told you. I've been doing this I've been training people for 20 years.
Yeah,
most of them can do more than what they think they can do.
Absolutely.
And that's trainer's job, is to push you to do more than what you can do on your own, by the way. So if you're a trainer out there, push your people.
Absolutely.
If you have a trainer, make sure they're pushing you. What else?
All right. Last question. You can settle a debate for me and James.
Oh, boy. This is a surprise.
Is it hypertrophy or hypertrophy? We have a disagreement here.
I've said hypertrophy my whole life.
I say hypertrophy.
It's like lightning bugs or fireflies. Come on.
Tomato,
now.
tomato.
Hypertrophy, or how do you say it?
Hypertrophy.
Hyper.
You guys tell us. I don't know how you'll do that though in chat, but
Good point. Good point.
It's all good. It's all good.
All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I guess that's it for this week.
All right. All right.
Be consistent, go hard, and feed your body nutrients.
Absolutely.
It's pretty simple.
3 things. It's that simple. All right. Make those gains.
If there's anything you want to see, leave us a comment. We'll get to the video. We appreciate each and every one of you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in.